Hi, everybody. How are you doing today?
Hi.
I have a person here I'm looking forward to chatting with. This is Rachael, and you probably know her as Mrs. Vendsel, and you can find her on Instagram and YouTube as Mrs. Vendsel. All the information will be below. Hi, Rachael.
Hi, Gerald.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. It's a beautiful day here.
Yeah.
So we are going to chat with Rachael here. I know many of you know her as Mrs. Vendsel, and you call her Mrs. Vendsel, just like you call me Ginger Gerald, even though my name is Gerald and her name is Rachael. So we're hopefully going to get her, to be known as Rachael and know her as Rachael Mrs. Vendsel. So firstly, we want to chat a little bit, get to know you a little bit better. So how did you get into cross stitch?
Yeah. So my sweet grandma taught me to stitch when I was really young. She taught me and my brothers, I think I was about 5, and she gave us a little sort of embroidery project and set us up. And she was a fantastic stitcher and seamstress. She had the most awesome little sewing nook right off the kitchen. And it was like this cozy little room, sort of stereotypical, like grandma's big bowl of buttons, and just so fun for kids. And I was always so drawn to her arts and crafts that she did. She could upholster, and she did china painting. And my grandpa was always like building stuff for her to paint, and she had a kiln in her garage, and she would fire her own pottery, and just like you name it, she did it. It was amazing. And so I was always sort of inspired by my grandma and did it here and there throughout childhood. And then when I was in college, I decided to make my roommate a gift. And I was like, I think I could probably remember how to do some stitching. And from there, I just found a little local needlework shop in town and started stitching a lot. So that was when I was about 18, and I've stitched pretty continuously since then.
Awesome. Okay, so you learned, do you remember how old you were when you learned?
I think I was 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you didn't pick it up again until you were 18.
I remember when I was maybe like 10 or 11, I knew this girl who was a cross stitcher, and it was a like Noah's Ark, kit from like Walmart or whatever. And I remember doing that with her, but I really did not do it much at all other than throughout my childhood.
So then once you started back up in college, was there anything that really, was there a style that you liked to stitch then that was?
Yeah, I remember it was more like country style, which I don't even really like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that was sort of what was available at the time. I went to college at Texas A&M, kind of out in the blue. And the local needlework shop was definitely more like in that sort of like southern country style. And that's what I liked. I didn't really know what I loved, but I do remember buying the Just Cross Stitch ornament magazines from Walmart or wherever, and like discovering, I kind of like, these styles, Blackbird Designs and Prairie Schooler and Little House Needleworks and people like that before I even really knew who they were as designers.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I would say I've kind of even evolved and moved away from some of that since then. I still like that primitive style a lot, but more like now I'm liking more folksy, more modern folk style.
Well, and that's what's great about cross stitch is that there's so much out there now that you can evolve, or you can pick and choose what you like, and you're not pigeonholed into stitching what your LNS has because they have country.
Absolutely, I know.
Which is nothing wrong with country.
I know,
There's lots of stitchers out there that like country. And
absolutely, yeah.
So, okay, excellent. So, okay. So you covered my next question, which was, what do you like to stitch now? Is there let's just real quick go through your favorite type of stuff. Is there a favorite flosses, favorite fabrics, favorite techniques that you like to use?
Okay, yeah. I love hand-dyed fibers and fabrics for sure. These days I'm stitching a lot on 32 count, but I'm getting more into samplers, and I love the sort of delicate, look of like that fine embroidery. So I'd like to try higher counts, like 36, 40 count more regularly. Maybe, yeah. Live on the wild side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a Picture This Plus Fabric of the Month club right now. And so I get a cut of 32 count every month, and that's fun. I think if I did it next year, I might pick 40.
Okay.
And I do love, all the gentle arts and weeks and color and cotton and all of those. And good old DMC is great too.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, so why did you start your channel?
Yeah, I was temporarily insane, maybe. I don't know.
Well, then we all were.
When I jumped into FlossTube, I don't think I knew what I was doing at all. I still don't know what I'm doing. But I think I was just drawn to the conversational aspects of it. That opportunity to interact with fellow stitchers and build that community and build relationships and be changed, in my approach to cross stitch by others. It's just such a unique thing, this like virtual conversation that we're all having with each other all the time, and it's so fantastic. I just wanted to participate in that,
So you mentioned some things in there about drawn into the conversation and be a part of making connections and everything. Has that happened for you since starting your channel? Have you made connections and Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. I think absolutely. And, I was just at StitchCon last month. And that was very transformative for me to get to meet people in person and realize that there is an audience out there. It was so fantastic to meet commenters whose names I, recognized and knew but hadn't met them in person. And to hear their stories and understand why they watch, and to really understand that something that I might say might actually have an impact.
Yeah.
It's so humbling and so wonderful, So I think a lot of people sort of struggle with feeling like they have something to offer. And when you realize that we all benefit from each other, and that being yourself, putting yourself out there and sharing what you do and what you know and what you think, it's just, it's so terrific, So I think it's that human element and aspect. I mean, obviously it is focused on our craft and what we do, and but I think what FlossTube does is it helps us to sort of embody our craft in a unique way. It's not just a picture, it's the person behind the picture and what we're making and who we are and how that gets expressed.
Sure.
So yeah, I think FlossTube has absolutely helped me experience that differently.
So then, has your style or your creativity changed as a result of your channel?
I think so. Like the last video that I had up, I showed this unicorn that I made for my daughter. That was probably something I would never have stitched before FlossTube, but like it just has this way of sort of sending you into new avenues. I've explored Etsy a lot more since FlossTube, and it's just a treasure trove of designers that you can't find at a local needlework shop, or that pattern came from Etsy. and seeing what other people do. I'm working on a piece right now. It's is it okay to say a name?
Yeah.
It's Lindy Stitches, Stephanie
Yeah.
Webb, The Birds to the Bow. I know there's a lot of excitement about that design because it was, I think, so fresh and different and new, and that is definitely something I probably wouldn't have picked up prior to FlossTuber, but I've been introduced to her work and really enjoy it a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know, well, a lot of people are very drawn to that pattern, and there's actually a style going on right now, a stitch along going on for that. And so, which is great because, and I think that's what's also so great about FlossTuber and having people talk about other maybe not so well known designers, is that it brings light to those unfamiliar or lesser known designers, and it gets a little bit more publicity for those people and gets their name out there.
Absolutely.
So, okay, excellent. So, okay, let's change gears just a little bit. And I'm curious, I know you have children, and they're getting to that age now where obviously you learned to stitch when you were 5. Have they ever shown an interest to stitch, and have you started teaching them to stitch?
Yeah, great question. Yes and yes. So my son started this little like gnome that we picked out together, and he got about halfway through and kind of got bored and put it down.
Okay.
And I haven't pushed him because I figure it should be something that natural, and you know, he may come back to it. And I would love that. I think that's terrific. My daughter, for the longest time, since she was really little, will sit beside me, and like when I pull my needle up, she'll take it and like pull the thread all the way up, and then I'll put it back in, she'll pull it down. And we've done that together for a long time. And I did give her a little teeny tiny heart that she completed, but it was on like 14 count. I think it might be easier for her. I've been wanting to get her a bigger count fabric where she could really do it all start to finish, because she's so independent. I think I still had to help her quite a bit with the first project. If she could do it all by herself, I think she'd enjoy it more. But yeah, I think it's so.
Can I ask how old she is?
Oh yeah, she's 7. No, sorry, 6. 6. How old am I?
Around that age, you know.
Yeah, she is 6. My son is 8. I think I started teaching Connor when he was 7, and Natalie when she was 6. So. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So then, other than cross stitch, do you do any other crafts, or is that your one and only love?
I would, Gerald, love to do more crafts. My husband has constrained me to cross stitch at this stage of our lives. For the longest, we lived in a little bitty 1-bedroom apartment, and he was like, you get one craft, you get one hobby. And even now, we don't have a huge home, and I feel like I have, you know, needlework stashed all over the house. Yeah. So maybe someday, when my kiddos are a little older and I've got a bit more room and spare time, if I could, I would actually love to learn to knit. And I've been so inspired by your videos learning to knit. And my grandma, my same grandma that taught me to stitch, she tried to teach me to knit several times. It never took. For whatever reason, I've struggled to really get it with knitting. But I think that's the one I would take up next if I could. And I think quilting is so cool. But again, I'm sort of terrified, like I would never have the room. Yeah. I need like a basement or a sewing room or something.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like I tried to pick up knitting, and I'm still trying, but it's one of those that cross stitch is so integrated into my life that for me, I don't want to stop my stitching long enough to sit down and start another project knitting at this point. And it's like, I know I need to go do that because I'm learning how, and I need to like sit down and, practice. but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I don't want to do that right now. So it's like, I totally get it, but yeah, I don't know. So, okay, so let's talk about the thing that makes your channel so unique. And I think what so many people love about your channel is that you have at the very end, and for those people that don't like it, they can always turn off after after you get through the your stitching and everything, is that you have a little counseling session.
Counseling
corner.
Yeah.
Where you talk, because Rachael is a certified counselor, or I don't know, licensed counselor. Go ahead. You can explain a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a licensed counselor. It's my license is LPC, licensed professional counselor, which is kind of a general practitioner of the counseling world. And yeah, I thought it would be cool to just bring that side of me out a little bit. Just sort of for me, it's a bit of a practice in being truly myself, and sharing that with others. And it's interesting because I did deliberately put it at the end just in case people are like, I don't care and I'm not interested.
Sure.
And I didn't know how it would be received. When I was at StitchCon, there were some roundtable discussions, a lot of them about FlossTube and about, how we make videos and why we make videos and what we're doing. And Pam and Steph had a terrific one where they discussed their journey with FlossTube, and they said to really lean into your comments, to really listen well to what your commenters are saying, and to integrate that feedback into what you do. And I have realized how many of my commenters say, like, I love your cross stitch, but I love your counseling corner. And I'm going to go back and listen to that again and again. And so I've been pleasantly surprised by how many people do enjoy that segment. And I think that there's such a connection between the therapeutic value of needlework and hand arts, and so the counseling and the cross stitch for me do go together, because it is very therapeutic, right? To work with our hands.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people connect to that.
I know for me, not so much on a mental health level, but more for like a physical health level. I got back into it because of the fact that it helped me alleviate my migraine. And it was a way for me to, I guess it is mental health as well, because I was able to, I guess, maybe de-stress and, get my mind off of my migraine, because I was so stressed out about, the constant headache and the constant migraine. Whenever I was stitching, I didn't have a migraine, or I could alleviate the symptoms of the migraine. So, there is something to be said about crafts or, handiwork and therapy that comes from it. So what kind of topics do you talk about in your counseling corner, and where do you get your ideas for your topics?
So far I only have a few videos. I think I've only got like 7 videos, and I'd like to have a lot more than that one of these days, slowly. But I think I've tried to keep it really positive. I don't want it to be problem oriented. So like, let's talk about this, that, or the other problem. I'd rather have it be a positive contribution of here's a helpful practice. So I've talked about things like gratitude and kind attention, mindfulness, things like that. So really they come out of my own practice and what I'm already doing with my clients, and just things that I'm thinking about working through, and hey, this was helpful for me, or this was helpful for a client. Let me share that. So I've tried to keep it sort of focused, brief, and positive. Little bite-sized practices that we can all try out today and incorporate, in our daily lives.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, excellent. So if you are interested in her channel and her counseling corner, and you can always go check her out and on her channel. And again, that'll be linked below. So let's, where do you see your channel going? Obviously you said you want more videos, and we know little kids and everything that takes a toll on how much time you get to make videos and everything. So where do you see your channel going from here?
Yeah, I've been a little more inspired since the retreat to be more disciplined, and I've even created like a rotation for myself, which I've never had that before. Yeah. It's getting wild in here.
Yeah.
So, if I felt like I was making more progress on a weekly basis and had more things to show and to share, I think I could film more regularly. And that's the goal for me, is to get it into more of a rhythm. And I think audience members appreciate that, right? They appreciate sort of like the regularity of knowing when videos are going to come out at a certain time. So I would like to go that way. For me, it's a bit of a discipline issue, and making that time and doing it consistently. I think so far with FlossTube, I'm kind of like, hey, this sounds amazing and fun, and let's go for it, and without a plan.
Well, I think that's what so many channels do. That's what I did for the first year. I was like, oh, I'll just make a video whenever I make a video, and then I started getting into a rhythm. So
yeah, so I'd like to get there. I think I'm still at the very, very beginning of this, and but I'm feeling more invested all the time, and experiencing the rewards of those relationships, and yeah, I'm gonna keep going.
So then, from a fairly young channel perspective, only having 7 or so videos out, what kind of advice do you have for somebody who is right on the verge of starting, or wants to start but doesn't know, or has that little bit of anxiety and just hasn't done it yet?
Totally. And it's interesting that you asked that question, because I think at StitchCon, it was such a FlossTube oriented retreat. And so we were all kind of talking about FlossTube and thinking about FlossTube. And there were a number of people like that you just described, that I was like, you've got to make videos. Come on, you got to do it, So I think I would encourage them, first of all, and say, be brave, don't be afraid. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished. The main thing is to get started, and you can refine and perfect it as you go along.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I want to thank Rachael for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks, Gerald.
And again, if you want to find Rachael, you can, I will have her linked below. It's Mrs. Vendsel, and you can find her on Instagram and YouTube. I will have both linked below, so you can find her there. And you can find all of her stitching, so go check her out. I hope you do. I know I watch regularly every time she has a channel out, or an episode out, and we're looking forward to many, many more episodes from Rachael. So thank you very much.
Hey, Gerald, it's been such a treat and such a pleasure. Thank you so much for thinking of me and inviting me on. And I'm a big fan of yours. So this has been delightful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So again, I thank you all for continuing to watch and subscribing. And again, there will be another episode in 2 weeks with another of our favorite FlossTube channel makers. And don't forget to always be creative. And we will see you next time. See you later. Bye, Rachael.
Bye.